Welcome to Concerts and Conversations. I'm Dr. Robert Butts. Today we're going to discuss Beethoven's Symphony No. 8. Of the 9 symphonies that Beethoven composed, the 8th is the least well known and perhaps the least performed, and unjustly so. The 8th is filled with humor, wit, energy, power, everything that we associate with Beethoven, though maybe without the intensity that we associate with the 5th Symphony or the 3rd Symphony, or the radical changes that he brought forth in the 9th Symphony. Beethoven's 8th Symphony was composed in 1812. He began work on the symphony immediately after completing the more powerful and larger-scaled 7th Symphony. Beethoven called the 8th Symphony My Little Symphony in F, to distinguish it from the much larger 6th Symphony. While most listeners prefer the 7th Symphony, many have commented on the subtle greatness of the 8th, including George Bernard Shaw and Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky, both of whom noticed the greater subtlety and the moments of musical humor. Musical humor is difficult to hear or explain, but there are many moments that are genuinely funny within the score of the 8th Symphony. It is ironic because this was a period when Beethoven was having serious health issues as well as some emotional trauma, and it was also the period in which he wrote his tragic letter to the immortal beloved. Beethoven began work on the 8th Symphony while visiting the spa center at Teplitz in Bohemia, where he went to escape the heat of the Viennese summer. There, he also met the great poet Johann Goethe. It was also there where we have the famous episode in which Beethoven and Goethe were walking down the street, and along came the Empress and her followers. Beethoven encouraged Goethe to just continue walking as if just passing everyday normal people. Goethe, however, could not escape his courtly past and stood aside, removed his hat, and bowed, whereas Beethoven, hands clasped behind his back in typical Beethoven walking fashion, just strode with a bare nod to royalty. The symphony was completed in Linz, Austria. Beethoven had gone to Linz before returning to Vienna in order to visit his brother Johann. Beethoven opens this symphony with a bang. There is no slow introduction, it just starts right on. Exuberant melody in the violins, big full chords in the winds, and that's the opening theme. The second theme is also, it's more of a call and response, with the strings singing an exuberant call and the winds and the timpani and the brass answering with these powerful chords. Following that exuberant opening, Beethoven has the music calm down. There's a full measure of rest, what we call a grand pause. And then simple little harmonies, and then the violins open with this very lyrical, warm theme. After he states that theme in the violins, he repeats it, only this time in the winds.